Hello and welcome once again to Policy Bazaar. I'm Arjun Bhagat. Now, investments in any form is a necessity in today's life. Proper investment plans can help us in controlling and managing our finances well. They help us build a corpus that can help us last a lifetime and also act as a helping hand in case of an emergency. Thus, this makes it important for us to know the avenues that can help us build this corpus, or what we all call savings, which lasts us a lifetime. Now, to understand financial planning better and how insurance forms an important part of it, we have Yashish Dahiya with us, co-founder and CEO of Policy Bazaar. Welcome to the show, Yashish.
Hi.
Now, I'm going to start with a very basic question. How do we start financial planning? What does it mean to say that, I'll make a corpus of wealth, or I'll create a nest for myself? What does that mean, and how does one go about it? Wealth management also.
Yeah, it's about balancing your assets and liabilities, and especially as you grow older and your income is not there, it's about making sure that as long as you live, you have enough money for all your needs. Let's take a couple of examples here. So my father retired in about 1990, and that time his salary was about 5,000-6,000 rupees. So he thought that 3,000-4,000 rupees a month would be enough to manage expenses. Obviously, if you look 20 years out, just 20 years out, you can't survive in 3,000-4,000 rupees, and you probably need at least a few tens of thousands rupees just to survive, right? As a normal middle class person. The point I'm making is inflation works very hard against you. A lot of other things work very hard against you. Your other needs, disease could happen. All these things do work very hard against you. So you have to obviously work very hard against these things to make sure you have enough for your lifetime. There's lots of times when we hear that people who are old and dependent on their children, the children start seeing them as a burden, and they stop supporting them. There's nothing like a good or bad about anything. The fact is, it's a reality, and it does happen. And it's very important for people to make sure that they are financially independent way into their later years, so that nobody sees them as a burden.
Right. Now, so what is the right time to start financial planning? And you talked about inflation. Tell us a little bit about this and how inflation actually eats into what we have tried to save.
So there's one example which I will give, which has always shocked me. So right time to start is always today, and I'll explain why. Suppose you did start today, and suppose you started saving 1 lakh rupees a year. I'm just giving an example, could be any amount, for the next 10 years. And assume you were getting a 10% rate of interest. I'm just arguing, it could be 8, it could be 10. By the end of 10 years, this amount would have collectively become about 22 lakh rupees. Now in the 11th year, this amount will give you an interest of about 2.2 lakhs. Now, let's reverse this example. Let's say you did not start today, and you waited 10 years, and you start then. You start investing the same 1 lakh rupees every year. The point is that corpus is giving a higher interest than the entire amount you're investing now. So the corpus was giving you an interest of 2.2 lakhs, while you will start with investing 1 lakh. So throughout your life, you will never be able to catch up with the person who started just 10 years earlier.
So start early.
You have to start early, and the point I make is, don't mind if you've not started. Start today, because today is better than 5 years from now, and much better. If you save today, if you save 5-6 years, you will never need to save again.
So what you're saying is, it's the magic of compound interest that will really help you build this.
Absolutely. And do this exercise at any point. About 6-7 years is the cutoff time. If you save for 6-7 years, is the same as saving for a lifetime after that.
Right, Yashish, now, let's go into the specifics of it. What are some of the investment plans that someone can actually invest in? We hear about bonds, we talk about equities, and equities has become really big these days.
Yeah.
So how should and what should one do?
So I met somebody recently who gave a very good statement. They said, by debt, you can never beat inflation, because inflation will always beat you in debt. Now, if you look at age groups, you go by age, right? Because
just explain that a little bit more.
So
when you say debt.
So debt is fixed deposits. See, somebody is able to give you a fixed deposit or a fixed return because they are able to make more money than that, or they have a chance of making more money than that.
Precisely.
In the markets. And hence the markets, the real estate, the gold would over a long period of time are expected to give higher returns than fixed deposits. And that is, the combination of all of this forms inflation in some way. So the point is, you won't be able to beat inflation with pure debt. So when you are in your early years and your responsibilities are few and you have a long time frame ahead of you, start investing in equities. And what one is talking about is before 35, definitely keep most of your investments in equities, long-term equities. Now that does not mean go and buy individual stocks. You buy into mutual funds, you buy into ULIPs, you buy into these kind of plans, right? Now as you get into the 35 plus, you're married, you've got a few responsibilities, you do start having short-term planning needs also. So you start moving some of your investments into debt. You move something into debt when you need it quickly enough, and you don't want to have the short-term risk of equity. As you get a little older, you're 45 plus, now you've got serious liabilities there. Your entire family is dependent on you. You've got young children going into college, all that kind of stuff. You start moving a little more into equities, maybe about 30% or so. And as you go beyond 50 and you're really reaching the time when you're going to be retiring soon, you start moving a lot of your money into equities, but into debt. But again, I would say keep the ratio still on equities, because you have a long time to live. See, the average life is going up. My father is 75 and he says he wants to live another 30 years. The point is, and people are becoming fitter, they are living longer. So, you know, people need to plan for that period, because in the next 50 years, suppose you retire at 55 and assume you live till 90, that's, you know, 45 years or 35 years. In 35 years, the world will be a different place. Inflation will be at least 10-20 times you know, higher than what it is today. I'm not saying inflation, I mean the cost of things will be 10-20 times higher. So the same house that, you know, you've got will be a lot higher. So you need to plan accordingly. But what one can also do is start investing in alternate assets rather than just financial instruments. So there is, you've got real estate, you've got gold, which, you know, traditionally we've over-invested in gold. So I would say that's fine. Your family usually has enough gold to not invest in gold any further. But if you invest in real estate, one of the big strengths of real estate is it's illiquid. So whenever you want to liquidate real estate, it takes you about 2 years. And what that implies...
And so that's a major asset that ends up staying with you.
That ends up staying with you. What we do not do, we tend to keep these assets for our children and for our children. Now where the West has graduated to some extent, they have things like reverse mortgages. So essentially, as you're growing older, now you have no more liabilities besides your own cost. And you own your house. So essentially you tell the bank, you know what, when I leave this world, or when both of us leave this world and the last of us leaves this world, please take this house back. Until then,
so they give you a steady return month by month.
They give you a steady return on your, so they basically buy back your house by giving you the money.
But that's a product which is now being offered in India as well.
Yes, it's just started. It's just started. Reverse mortgages just started. It's not very well known yet.
Yeah, and there probably is a lot of apprehension about that as well. Now let's go into the specifics of, now I want to build my nest. What are some of the specific products, whether in equity, debt, what should I be looking at?
Sure. So see, there are mutual funds. Mutual funds are combinations of stocks that professional managers invest in. A mutual fund can usually not beat the market, but it can be systematically beaten by the market. So please look out for funds which have systematically underperformed. They're doing something wrong. Otherwise, everybody else is as good. If out of 10 years, 5 years they've beaten the market, 5 years they've got beaten by the market, that's okay. Now these funds have got, there are different types of funds. There are funds which are more growth oriented. There are funds which are more large cap oriented, so large companies oriented. Take a blend, mix up. See, the whole idea of investing in stocks is spread out as much as possible, because then your risks gets managed.
So this kind of comparison of seeing which is the better fund, of course it comes in newspapers, can one also see it in Policybazaar?
You cannot see it in Policybazaar yet, but we would start showing it in Policybazaar at some point. But one can look at various other places where you can see it. See, all I'm saying is look out, don't look for the highest performing fund. That has happened by chance. Look for, just make sure you don't invest in the lowest performing funds and the people who've been consistently underperforming. Because India is known for bad practices. Maybe there's a bad practice going on there. So avoid those. As long as they are with the market or ahead of the market, please invest in those. The second kind of investment type you have. Now, the problem with mutual funds is that while they keep building the coppers, they are reliant on your income. So there's nothing like a waiver of premium in a mutual fund, right? Then come the next class of assets, which are the ULIPs. These have waiver of premiums. So if in case something happens to someone, then the company starts paying the premiums, and the dream is still built, or the requirement is still built up, right? Now the third class would be fixed deposits, and you could always, we all know what fixed deposits are. They give you a steady return. Today they give you between 8 to 10%, depending on how old you are or how long you're investing for. After that, you would have assets like gold, which we have traditionally been over investors in. You could liquidate these very quickly, and then there is real estate, where these are the bulk of the assets. In real estate, again, you have multiple types. You have residential real estate, which is the one home you would use. Do not see your one home as an investment. See it as something that you will need, because you're unlikely to sell it. But if you start going beyond one home, if you start having multiple homes, then you can start looking at it as an investment. Again, there are commercial and residential. Commercial ones tend to have higher yields, while residential ones tend to have higher inflation of pricing, but relatively lower yields. So you can see, if you're somebody who's looking for a monthly return, maybe you are better off investing in a shop, or in an office place rather than a residential house. But if you're somebody who's looking for a long-term capital gain, then you're probably better off looking at a residential property. So those are kind of and balance it out, spread it out.
The first step that one takes in making investments is the compulsion to save tax. Now, what are some of my options when we do that, and also is that a good perspective to take?
Saving tax is always good. Just before I get into taxes, let me just address two more investment classes which are also related to tax. So we have pensions. Along with ULIPs, you have pensions. Within pensions, you have pensions by the life insurance companies, and you have pensions by the national, NPS. Now, the NPS allows you to invest a minimum of 6,000 rupees. There are two tiers of investment. There's a tier 1 and a tier 2. In the tier 2, you can withdraw your money at any time, whereas in tier 1, there are certain limitations on how much you can withdraw in a particular year, etc. Now, all your investments in the National Pension Scheme get invested in three kinds of classes. They're the same, so they could be equities, they could be securities, but non-government fixed deposits, or they can be government securities. These classes are called E, C, and G in that order. In addition, you have the PPF and the EPF. The PPF is essentially a deposit that you make, which lasts for 15 years. The minimum amount you can invest is 500 rupees. Maximum 70,000 rupees in a year, and today you get about 8% returns on that, compounded. You have the EPF option, where the company co-invests with you for 12%, and any establishment that has more than 20 people needs to offer this option, and there the current returns are about 9.5%. So all three are pretty good options for long-term planning. Now, as far as your tax saving is concerned, you've got the 1,20,000, which is the maximum possible under ATC, of which the 20,000 must come from infrastructure bonds. Otherwise, you wouldn't get it. Now, you get this 1 lakh rupee tax break on all forms of ULIPs, insurance. You would get it in your pension planning, the NPS, the EPF, the PPF, the post office deposits. You get it in even fixed deposits if you invest for more than 5 years.
And ELSS also.
ELSS as well. So you get it on all of these schemes. You will get the ATC benefit. You will not get it in real estate per se, but you would get it in most of the other schemes. Gold is also, you won't get it in gold as well.
Thanks, Yashish. Now it's time for a short break. After the break, we'll take your specific questions. So if you have any questions, do write to us at ask.policybazaar.com. On Facebook, the address is Facebook/PolicyBazaar India, and on Twitter, the address would be PolicyBazaar_in, and we'll see you shortly.